Hello, everybody, and welcome to this AFC South show here on Curtis's Podcast Network, episode 44. With me, as always, Blake Bellamy. How you doing, bud?
Good, man. Outside enjoying the beautiful weather in Tennessee.
So we'll be seeing some sweat in about 4 minutes.
I've been out here all day working. It's been nice.
Well, then maybe
Patio office.
the outdoor office, baby.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's dive on into what we got. We got some news as far as signings go. Veteran signings first. Dennis Kelly, the offensive tackle, former Tennessee Titan, joins AFC South rival Indianapolis. As Blake, as a Titans fan, you can tell us a little bit about what DK brings to the table.
That's the Undertaker, man. That's what the Undertaker does, man. He goes down, he chokeslams people and knocks people on their butt, man. That's what Dennis Kelly's going to do in Indianapolis, man. He's good. He's really good in the run block. Pass blocking, he's better than your average starter. Whenever he's the Titans, he's much better than everything we had in recent years. Quesenberry was garbage. Dennis Kelly's going to go in there. He's going to be a lot better upgraded than what they had last year. And he can play every position and tight end. They got a good guy here. Great leader, good guy. And I hate that he's in Indianapolis. I really do. I was really hoping he'd come back to Tennessee and work with his brother, Tim Kelly.
Passing game coordinator.
Yeah, but I don't blame Dennis Kelly for not coming here. I'm sure we wanted him back, but I mean, they did him wrong many years. So I don't blame Dennis Kelly at all. And I hope he does well in Indianapolis, just not twice a year.
Speaking of Tennessee, Greg Maben rejoins the squad. He's a backup corner, predominantly a special teams player. I think this is just one of those signings to bring in somebody to compete for the lower end depth chart at the cornerback. And I think that this will probably be one of your gunners, and I guess on like punt coverage.
Yeah, this probably his like 37th stint with the Titans. He's always, practice squad, active roster, practice squad, active roster. I think he was with the Raiders maybe for a little bit, or maybe the Arizona Cardinals. He went somewhere last year briefly, so now he's back in Tennessee. I'm glad he's back. I mean, he's probably just a camp body. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes 53, but also wouldn't be surprised if they cut him. But he's familiar with this defense, and I'm glad he's back. I'm sure it's a vet minimum deal.
Definitely continues the trend of Vrabel only bringing in what he knows.
Yep.
So, I mean, at least in that aspect, they know what they're getting out of the young man.
100%.
Two old men were signed, former Buffalo Bills in their own right. Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes going down to Houston to supply a veteran edge rush presence. I assume that Jonathan Grenard will be a starter.
Yeah.
And then Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison probably on the opposite side. And then maybe some younger guy filling in here and there. I don't know. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they use him. Mario Addison's played under Lovie Smith's defense in Chicago forever ago. They're both 34 years old at the start of the season, so they're clearly not long-term answers. But I think on a 1 year, maybe if they do really well, come back for a second year, a 1 year, possible 2 year basis. I mean, they've averaged, I think Jerry Hughes has averaged 6.5 sacks, like 10 tackles for loss a season since he joined Buffalo.
Yeah, he's a great football player. He's just old. That's his only knock against him. And he's not going to be your every down, but put him in on pass rushing downs. He's going to get to some quarterbacks.
Absolutely, and that's the entire reason I think we brought he and Mario in. Be the second time we got a defensive end named Mario out there.
Yeah, first one worked out pretty well.
He did, so hopefully that continues. Moving on to rookie signings, the only first-round draft pick signed by the AFC South at all is Jacksonville's Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. And then I could only you actually found this, but the Titans have signed their 4th through their 7th round draft picks. I'm not sure who else has been signed. If you've heard of anything, please leave it in the comments section down below. Also, if you'd like to give your opinion about who was possibly the best draft pick in each draft class for each team, leave that down below as well. Uh, Blake, do you have any more news?
The Titans sign, or they're bringing in. I wanted to ask you about him, DeMarcus Walker.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they signed him yet, but he brought in for a visit. It does look like they'll probably sign him. And again, like you said, Vrabel's trend of bringing in guys he knows for the Tennessee Texans, basically out here. So how is he on your team? How'd you like DeMarcus Walker?
Walker was pretty good. He's a very consistent edge rush presence. He's not necessarily going to get to the quarterback every time, but he's going to give you effort every time he's on the field. I would consider him definitely a rotational player, but the way that the Titans defense has been working and the way that the injury bug absolutely tried to destroy the Titans last year, he might be thrust into some heavier workload.
Yeah, and he actually put up some pretty good numbers against the Titans too.
Yeah.
So I do remember him really just for chasing us down last year.
Yeah. He's a young man, very, very quick off the line. He's got a very twitchy hands. So, I mean, I think he's going to have a pretty solid season. That's a pretty complimentary scheme for him. So, I mean, we'll just see how it works out. But we will move now to the draft class breakdown, the first in channel history. And we start today with the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, the Jaguars draft class, round 1, Trayvon Walker, signed round 1, pick 27, Devin Lloyd out of Utah. We had him going a lot sooner, possibly even to the Cowboys as a Van Der Esch replacement. I think that, he's almost going to be, I think he's going to be 24 at the start of the season. I don't know. He could either work out really well or terribly, but I definitely had to agree with your pick of Luke Fortner from Kentucky as one of their best picks in this draft.
Yeah, he's a guy I think is going to come in and start right away. And it was a big need. The first 2 picks, I mean, you can honestly, inside linebackers, you can really find them anywhere. I don't think unless there's someone that's just so dominant, like a Micah Parsons, you don't need to take one in the first round, if I'm being honest. He does have a talent. He said, we did mock him, I believe, to the Cowboys. And I think the Patriots were also a good fit for him. But Trey Walker was a horrible pick. Most of these guys, Snoop Connor, they traded up for him. Terrible. I don't know why they needed a running back. They got 2 very good running backs. So Snoop Connor's he might not even make the team. So I don't know. This whole draft class was just not good.
Well, I feel like the NFL has kind of shifted in a way where running backs are a lot less valuable. So you need 5 of them on the roster. I mean, that's what Houston started the season with last season was 5 running backs. None of them were necessarily starters, but I mean, that's kind of how it worked. The entire season was just kind of plug and play efforts, trying to find somebody who fit. But, running backs get hurt pretty easily. I'd say they're arguably one of the most injury-prone positions.
And ETN didn't even play last year because this is an injury, and then James Robinson got hurt a few times during the season.
Exactly, and then they're relying on people I don't even know. So
yeah, they were throwing out old Carlos Hyde out there.
No, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Old Urban Meyer bringing his Ohio State buddy back.
Yeah,
and then the 3rd round selection, Chad Muma, the linebacker out of Wyoming. I'm not super familiar with him, so what did you like about Muma specifically?
I like his ability. He's one of those guys that's always around the football, and that's a stat that you can't really. It doesn't show up on the stat sheet. There's some guys that he has very good instincts and natural ability playing football. He's a football player, and I feel like that's what Jacksonville needed. The guy got, I think, 3 interceptions last year. I think he had 1.5 sacks, maybe 2, so not very many. But he led the team in tackles. He had like 140 something. So like the guy can play. He's always around the football. His tape is pretty impressive. I do like him. I think he's a guy that could start, and I think he might be more impactful than Lloyd. I mean,
Yeah.
Lloyd's a first round pick, so if that tells you anything.
Right. Well, we shall see. Time is the great differentiator between the great and the poor.
Exactly.
So the Jaguars, I don't just it seems like you could almost draft any position as a Jaguar and it not go terribly, but I feel like a lot of people kind of viewed this entire draft as a little bit of a kind of a letdown, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that Gregory guy. I mean, he could be a Hall of Famer, and everything I just said was just wrong. Like that could be a great class. So we never really know. But from the guys available, they didn't pick the best player available really at any position. Maybe you could argue Lloyd was the best at that place, but I disagree. I just think it was a bad draft. And Balky, this is his last season, I guarantee it. Unless Shad Khan just really wants to tank this team, which could be it because he's terrible. He needs to sell it. Actually, as a Titans fan, he can keep it for as long as he wants, honestly.
All right. Next up, the Colts draft class is on the menu. Looking here, they obviously didn't have a first-round draft pick. They were able to select a couple skill position players in the second and third round, and then finally got an offensive tackle to fill in where Eric Fisher really never got enough time to fill in at left tackle. So hopefully they have found a left tackle, but I don't know. There's just something about drafting these small school guys that doesn't sit well with me.
Especially at offensive line, it is a little scary. Like you do want your Alabama tackles, really.
Yeah.
And, he's a Central Michigan guy. And it's like, it's a little scary. That's why he did probably fall to the third round. And we're talking about Raymond, of course.
Right. I mean, we mocked him in the first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I thought he was a first-round guy. I did. He might have been gone for the Titans, and I would have been okay with the Titans taking him at 26. I think he's a good player. He does have a lot of question marks. He was only attacked for 1 year. Apparently has some of the smallest arms to come in the draft, so that's another reason he kind of fell a lot. But for the value, I do think it's a great pick for the Colts. It's definitely worth a third-round pick, trying this guy out.
And then your second selection of Jelani Woods here, the tight end as the one of the best picks in this draft for the Colts. The tight end out of Virginia, what makes you think that Jelani Woods is going to be impactful for the Colts?
I like this guy. He's fast. He's athletic. He just wants to make plays on the ball. He's one of those guys I could definitely can see going in there and being probably push Mo Alley Cox to be their starting tight end. I know Matt Ryan likes the tight ends, and I feel like him and Jelani Woods will probably build some pretty good chemistry together.
And yeah, I mean, everything in Matt Ryan's career indicates a love for tight ends. I mean, didn't they trade to get Tony Gonzalez for him?
They did, yeah. Forgot about that.
So, I mean, the guys always craved elite tight ends. Maybe they can mold Jelani Woods. Maybe they can't. I mean, perfect. I mean, they also drafted Andrew Ogletree, who's another tight end out of Youngstown
State. I didn't know a whole
State.
lot about this guy, but I don't see him. Assuming Jelani Woods isn't terrible, I don't see Andrew Ogletree like really doing a whole lot.
Yeah. He might be more of a blocking tight end since Jack Doyle retired. So
thankfully.
But up next, we will get into the Titans now. Perhaps.
To be continued.
To be continued. All right, there we go. Titans. Live. What's up? All right. Titans draft class. Pretty solid. You want to jump in on this?
Yeah, so I did like this draft class a lot, and I'm very skeptical about Jonathan Robinson's ability to draft players specifically in the first round because he sucks at it. Even the only hit that he did have, Jeffrey Simmons, I was pissed because we drafted a cripple who couldn't play till October, and there was a chance that he couldn't even play at all that year, so I was not happy about that. He obviously turned out pretty great. This one, ignoring the whole AJ Brown, we're just going to focus on the draft class. I do like Traylon Burks here a lot. He was one of my favorite wide receivers in this class. Roger McCreary is incredible. SEC guy. He used to shut down a lot of guys. Nicholas Petit-Frere, he's got a lot of question marks. Apparently, he's not a great pass blocker, which is Jesus. That was the biggest issue we have with Questenberry. And then the whole Isaiah Wilson fiasco. Malik Willis was very interesting here. As I've said many times, and you have as well, we weren't a huge fan of Malik Willis. I do like this pick in the third round, though. He's very worth the third round. This guy that they thought he was going to go top 10.
Yeah.
So just the value alone, he's worth a flyer on round 3. And I'm very curious to see how he does. I've liked his personality a lot. I like his work ethic. I'm very curious. I'm really rooting for the guy. Hassan Haskins might be one of the best running backs in this draft. This guy had like 20-something touchdowns last year. He had I think 38 touchdowns against Ohio State. Like, it was ridiculous. They just took that team over. And then probably my favorite pick in this draft was Chigozie Okonkwo. Dude is a beast. Like, workout warrior. He's the fastest tight end in the class. I think highest jump, like vertical jump, shuttle was great. Like, he's insane. He reminds me a lot of Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
And the guy, he lines up in the slot, out wide, both tight end, fullback, and running back. Guy can play everything. Theo Jackson's incredible. Him and Roger McCreary were 1 and 2 for pass breakups in the SEC last year. And then we got that guy in the 6th round.
Yeah.
And Chance Campbell, he used to actually play with Okonkwo in Maryland. And his lone season at Ole Miss was his best season in college football. He just dominated in the SEC. And you really want to see that. He went from Maryland to the SEC and played his best football. And you want to see that. So I think he's going to be pretty decent. I don't even know if he's going to make the team. 6th round pick, you don't know, but there's not a whole lot of depth right now at our middle linebacker position. So I'm excited to see how he can do it. He's a interesting prospect for sure.
Yeah, a lot of upside.
For sure.
Moving to the Texans draft class.
A lot of picks.
Yeah, a lot of picks here. This was a busy day for the Texans. Busy weekend, I should say. First, a lot of people don't like the Derek Stingley Jr. pick at number 3. And, be that as it may, I like it. I think he's going to fit the scheme pretty well. Mm-hmm. And I love the Dameon Pierce pick in the 4th round. That was absolutely crucial. We needed to bring an infusion of youth into that running back room. Dameon Pierce brings a hard-hitting explosiveness into that backfield. And I think playing in the SEC at such a high level is going to absolutely benefit him in the pros. And what would you say about John Mechie?
I mean, he's an Alabama receiver, man. I mean, clearly you and I both value SEC players a lot more in the draft. And John Mechie, I mean, he's comes from a very long line of wide receivers for Alabama being successful in the NFL. And I think the trend's going to continue with him. He is coming off of an injury. If he was not coming off an injury, he would have been probably in contention. In contention to be a 1st-round pick, possibly the first wide receiver taken. And he fell the 2nd round, early mid-2nd round, and that was a great value for him. I would have loved to have had him in the 2nd round. Dude's a beast. So you guys got probably future number 1 wide receiver right there, and he's got someone great to look up to in Brandon Cooks. And they also got I'm blanking. Who's your other receiver you drafted last year? Big fan of him.
Oh, Nico Collins.
Nico Collins. So, you guys got some youth up there, and I'm excited for your wide receiver room. It's looking good.
Yeah, let's just hope we can get some offensive linemen to keep Davis Mills upright.
Yeah, and I do want to comment on the whole. You said that a lot of people didn't like the Derek Stingley pick. I'm one of those. I didn't like the pick. I do like the player. I do think he's a good player. I just thought 3 was a little early for him. If you were going to go corner, just get Sauce Gardner. But he is good, and you're your defensive back room got better with drafting Stingley.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, we're going to continue with our final card here, the draft grades. And you and I have spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we really felt about these.
Yeah.
And I think we finally found a perfect catharsis, because at first I wanted to like almost mesh our grades together and make just one AFC South show grade, but I like the variety here.
Yeah. Ours are pretty similar except for the Jaguars one.
Yeah. Yeah. Jaguar F. It just seems so detrimental.
There's so many better players available. Like, again, we don't know how any of these guys are. Like, we could revisit these, and the Jags could be an A, Titans could be F, for all we know.
Right.
But as of now, I mean, I didn't like the way that the draft went for Jacksonville. If I was a Jacksonville fan, I'd be pretty discouraged going into the season.
Yeah. So we both gave the Colts a C minus. Is what weighs it down so heavily for you?
So for me, first off, they didn't have a first, which I'm not going to penalize them for that. But if you're not going to have a first, you do need to draft well. They traded away their first pick in the second, and they moved back. And I just didn't like Alec Pierce. First off, he's a white wide receiver, and I don't agree drafting white people that high unless they're quarterbacks or linemen. And there's just nothing special about him. I mean, Cincinnati, I wouldn't say they're a powerhouse, but they're gaining steam. They've been much better over the years. And they do play some quality teams. And he was all right. There's better players. I think John Mechie was on the board. Like, it's the guys like that. Sky Moore, I believe, was also on the board. Like, there's some guys they could have gotten that they just didn't.
Yeah.
I remember when they drafted Alec Pierce, I was like, oh, cool. Like, I was happy as a Titans fan. So, good. So that's for me. And, none of their other picks, I did like the Jelani Woods. But even then, I've seen him mocked in the second round, and I've also seen Jelani Woods mocked in the sixth round. I personally like him. I think he's going to be a good player, but I do understand there's a lot of question marks about him. And I'd be afraid using one of your first picks on somebody with a lot of question marks on Jelani Woods. Even though I did say that was my best favorite picks, but that's for a class I don't really like in general. I mean, C minus for a reason.
Right. I mean, I have the same grade for a very similar reason, actually. I basically, last year the Texans didn't have a first or a second, and I think they still came away with like a B plus draft or a B or something.
I think you guys had the best draft class last year.
In the South for sure. In the South for sure. But, I mean, for a team that didn't have a first or a second, they definitely compensated by drafting players that are either played a lot and had a good role, or played a little bit and are developing quite nicely. I don't know that the Colts did that here. A lot of these guys, like you mentioned, have a lot of question marks. And when you're drafting without a first round draft pick, as you mentioned, you have to make all the picks that you take count. And you can't really have that many question marks lingering around on all these players, and you're just hoping that one or multiple will pan out. That's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for letdown. So C minus for the Colts across the board on this AFC South show. Now to the Texans. The only difference between my grade and your grade is I think the Texans would have had a solid A if they had drafted an edge rusher in the first 4 rounds. They didn't. So that's why it's an A minus, but I'm also weighing in there the additions of Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes, because I feel like, okay, they kind of addressed it in a 1-year Band-Aid. But I think the B plus that you gave is right about what I've seen everywhere.
Yeah, with Houston, I think I mentioned earlier, the only thing I did not Houston in for was taking Stingley over Sauce Gardner. I did like Kenyon Green in the first. I really like all their picks. Whenever I am grading, I'm looking at the players and like, all right, can this guy contribute to the team? And I think Houston got a lot of guys that can contribute day one, and I think that's a very strong draft class.
Yeah.
The edge rusher, I didn't think that's big. I mean, you do know Houston better than I do. I think their defense is pretty strong. I didn't think edge rusher was their biggest need, so I didn't really penalize them too much for not taking an edge rusher. And especially with this class, wasn't super deep. I think the first round edge rushers were pretty strong, but after that, not really. So I can't blame them too hard for not taking one.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, I mean, they did get 2 free agent additions, which I think Jerry Hughes would probably be better than like a 4th round draft pick for them this year.
Yeah, more likely than not, yes. Moving to the Titans, we both have them at an A. You said you gave this grade, you told me off camera that you gave them this grade because you weren't factoring in the A.J. Brown trade.
Correct, yeah.
If you were to factor that in, how does that affect your grade?
I feel like it wouldn't trade. So, okay, so if anything, so I could think about keeping it at an A or maybe do a B plus. The reason why is because, yes, we lost AJ. He's going to be most likely better than Treylon Burks. However, the production wasn't good for AJ. I think Treylon Burks can get 900 yards like AJ did last year. I think he can get 4 touchdowns like AJ did last year. I think what the way the Titans kind of win that trade is the money. The Titans really got Treylon Burks, Petit Freer, and McFreary for AJ Brown.
Yeah.
So when you add all that in together, it's kind of cool with me. The more I think about it, the more I am happy about the AJ Brown trade. But you did lose a guy. We're basically going off a proven player versus possibilities. So I don't know. I'm very perplexed, and I feel like my opinion always changes on AJ Brown by the minute.
Yeah. And that brings us to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars, I gave them a C plus for the reason of they drafted some SEC players.
You're very generous with the Jaguars. I give you that one.
Look, there's some of these guys like Muma and the kid that they had from like something Baptiste, the corner that they drafted or something like that. I don't know why you would it's Wyoming. The only thing to ever come out of Wyoming was Josh Allen, and he didn't play linebacker. You know what I mean?
Play boy.
So, I think the Jaguars are one of those teams in a similar situation to what the Texans are, where basically if you draft somebody that is, got some production behind them, it's an immediate upgrade over what you had.
Yeah.
So some of these picks, I can see actually probably working out pretty well for the Jags. So that's why I gave them a C plus. I still think the Colts had a bottom 2 draft in the league, let alone the AFC South, but in the league, period. So I didn't want to muddy the waters of how bad the Colts did comparatively to how slightly better the Jaguars did.
Yeah, I think the Jags and the Colts had probably some of the worst drafts in this league. Yeah, it was bad. I mean, Jacksonville, like I said earlier, I'm looking for guys that can come in and start immediately. I mean, a lot of those guys probably will start immediately, but I don't think they're very good. They're definitely not better than the guys that they've replaced. Like replacing Miles Jack with Trayvon Walker is an embarrassment, man.
Well, they don't play the same position. Miles Jack was an inside linebacker, and Trayvon's an edge rusher.
True. You're right. We got the same.
Devin Lloyd is the replacement.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
And then I think Muma plays inside as well, but he might have a little bit of like a pass coverage outside linebacker 4-3 kind of thing.
Yeah, Muma, he could be sneaky good with the interceptions and his ability to read quarterbacks. I don't know how smart he is, but I imagine he's probably a pretty bright guy.
Yeah. But so that's our draft grades, folks. Leave in the comments section where you think we messed up or where you think we got something right. If you want, you can go ahead and leave your draft grades in the comment section below. and we'll do our best to get to him after the show. But that'll do it for our draft grading of for the AFC South in 2022. Blake, do you have any closing comments?
Jags should have drafted Aiden Hutchinson.
I think that's fair. Also, we just got some breaking news that the Colts and the Texans will be playing each other week 1.
Yep.
And the Titans will be playing the New York Giants week 1. It'll be a 3:00 game. So
3:00 games, but whatever. I'm still gonna watch the game.
I don't know why people hate those. I like them.
It's just the middle of the day. So I usually watch the morning games and the night games. So like now I'm gonna have to watch all 3. That's a lot of football.
I watch all 3 every day. All right, so that's gonna do it for this AFC South show number 44. We've been hot and heavy the last several months. We'll have another episode coming out next week, and then we'll have a break for a couple weeks as my main man Blake here is officially getting married and will be going on a honeymoon. So before, congrats and everything beforehand, and we're excited.
Come back real tan, and I tried to get married in my Marcus Mariota jersey, but she ain't gonna let it happen. Said she'll divorce me if I try it, but
damn, divorce before marriage.
I'll try to sneak it in underneath the suit.
You should just cut the collar out and put it underneath your stuff.
Yes,
and just kind of wear it like a necklace.
Yeah, my Marcus Mariota number 8.
That would be so funny. Oh man. Well,
stay tuned for some pictures.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys for watching. Blake, thanks for coming on, and hope everybody is just being a good person today.
Yeah, don't get arrested.
Peace.